Respect, bro.
Great work.
Appreciate it.
Great work. That was good.
We're going to train again. Easy.
There is a saying, I would say, there's a saying that a happy fighter makes a dangerous fighter, in the sense that if you put them in the right environment and their brain is receptive of what they're being taught, they're going to be more in tune with what they're going through.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Wow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So I'm actually like, give me more, give me more, give me more.
That's his mindset in everything he does, whether it's training, whether it's work, whether it's helping other people.
With just a few days remaining until fight night, Anthony Joshua is fully locked in, and everything coming from his camp shows he is approaching this bout with complete focus and seriousness.
You know, so I use YouTube a lot, where there's a lot of videos what I listen to, and I update it, and I can always revert back to it when I'm feeling low to get a bit of motivation. Fear comes in many forms. There's some things that I can't get over and I'll always be scared of, but I take the positive from it. Like, I'm never so confident I'm going to win. It's probably the fact that I'm scared to fail.
Coaches aren't meant to understand that you're tired. Coaches aren't meant to understand that you have emotions. Coaches are just supposed to look at you like you're a machine, and they just want results. I may be tired, but I just got to bite down on my gum shield, because if I can perform to an elite level when I'm tired, imagine what I can do when I'm at rest and when I've got energy. I've been through them days where I'm looking for sympathy and you just don't get it. It's well, but don't get it. I always knew there could be the most talented fighter out there, especially in our industry. If they can't sell tickets, they can't put bombs on seats, they'll never showcase their skills to the world, no matter how good they are. And that's why I say you have to have marketability and you have to have ability. And when you bring those two worlds together, it's a recipe for success.
There's no casual approach or exhibition mindset. Anthony Joshua is fully focused, fine-tuning his conditioning, sharpening his combinations, and committing to a disciplined, high-pressure game plan. This isn't about headlines or novelty. It's about timing, control, and leaving no weaknesses when the bell rings.
To stay humble means treat the person who is beneath you in a different class to the same person who's above you in a different class. It's an equal playing field, and we have to treat everyone with the same respect. And that's why, you know, people fight for equality. And I think that's important. And that's why I mix stay hungry and stay humble together in such a fine way that they gel together well. Stay hungry, stay humble.
Joshua understands that the stage is enormous, the spotlight relentless, and the expectations extremely high, which is why his approach has been entirely professional and focused.
Shit, and again. Good, and again. Good, 2 more. 1 more of them. Good.
You have to find it within yourself. If I've got to tell you to get up, and I've got to tell you to go to work, and I've got to tell you to do everything, then until that person stops telling you, you're never going to be able to achieve anything. So that's the best piece of advice I've been given, is find it within yourself to be motivated. You've been blessed with a brain, heart for emotions, spiritual connection.
As the countdown grows shorter, the message from Joshua's camp is clear. He isn't taking this moment lightly. He's going all in, leaving nothing to chance when he steps into the ring. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is also fully engaged in preparation, training with heavier sparring partners and refining his movement as he braces for the biggest challenge of his boxing career.
There's very clear paths to being able to beat Anthony Joshua. Something about him. I was supposed to fight Gervonta and then go and fight Joshua maybe next year. When Gervonta got into his whole fiasco, Joshua was one of the first names on the list. I would say he's definitely was surprised and maybe thought I was just all talk and not actually wanting to do it and just saying it for hype. I think that's what a lot of people think. when I say crazy things like fighting Canelo or Bud or Joshua. So I think he was actually surprised to get the deal done.
Confidence is high, but the training shows a clear awareness of what's ahead. Longer rounds, tighter defense, and a constant focus on handling pressure dominate the sessions. As fight night approaches, Jake Paul's camp is concentrating less on hype and more on readiness, recognizing that this isn't just another crossover event but a moment that will define how seriously his boxing career is regarded.
I don't want to ask you about a prediction for Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua because I think a lot of people know what will happen, but is it dangerous for Jake Paul to be taking on a big heavyweight? You're a heavyweight, man. I wouldn't want to get punched by you here. Is it very dangerous for Jake Paul to be taken on?
I mean, no matter what it is, it can be an exhibition fight or whatever fight it is. When two guys step over that rope and they got bad intentions or they ready to throw blows, it's always bad. You got to understand that boxing is a dangerous business and the head is not meant to be hit in the first place. Doctors will always tell you the head is not meant to be hit, the body is not meant to be hit, the head is not meant to be, the brain is not meant to be shook.
As Jake Paul's camp intensifies its focus in the final days, the broader boxing discussion has sharpened as well. Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Ade Oladipo framed the fight on TalkSport as an event that mixes spectacle with serious consequences. With the bout just a week away in Miami, the panel highlighted its massive commercial appeal while questioning how such a matchup was sanctioned, pointing to Florida's tendency to approve unconventional contests. Jordan emphasized that Paul's prominence comes more from commercial influence than sporting merit, noting that while he attracts viewers and subscriptions, the competitive gap between him and a former unified heavyweight champion is still substantial.
If AJ was fighting an area level heavyweight now, it wouldn't go beyond a round. I'd expect AJ to get rid of him, let alone AJ being 40 pounds heavier. The Americans look at AJ slightly different to how we do. They look at him as someone that's washed up. When he was in their country, he got beat by Andy Ruiz, who's not gone on to do anything. If Andy Ruiz went on to have this glittering career, then it maybe would have made that defeat look a lot bigger. They watched him recently get defeated by Daniel Dubois. They think he's done. So they don't have respect for him maybe the way we do over here. So Jake thinks he can win. I've been around Jake and he's delusional, but he's very strong-minded. So he thinks he can win, but there's no way this should go beyond 3 minutes.
Who's the A side? Who walks into the ring first?
AJ walks into the ring first, so Jake Paul's the A side.
White steered the conversation toward the financial realities, explaining why top fighters might take on such opportunities. Allow added balance by acknowledging Paul's influence on boxing's visibility and promotion, especially through modern platforms. Together, they agreed that despite the hype, this is a genuine fight with real risks, and if Joshua fails to handle Paul decisively, it could complicate carefully planned future matchups. The consensus was clear. Curiosity will drive massive viewership, but once the bell rings, the unforgiving hierarchy of the sport is expected to assert itself.
I think I heard you mention there are two behemoths involved here. How is Jake Paul a behemoth?
He's a behemoth in terms of his following and in terms of the pulling power he has. He's now, whether hardcore boxing fans want to admit this, he's one of the faces of boxing. And that's saying something. Like the amount of people that put their hands up to want to fight Jake Paul when they realized the Gervonta Davis fight weren't happening. He can, like Alexander Usyk says he wants to fight him. Like that's the one of the biggest names in the sport. There aren't that many people.
You love this sport, Addy, and you love working in it. Is it an uncomfortable truth, if you like, that Jake Paul is part of the top flight boxing scene?
The TalkSport discussion led by Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Ade Oladipo explored the commercial significance and regulatory questions surrounding Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. The conversation naturally turned to reactions from fighters, most notably Michael Bisping. Responding to the growing number of high-profile predictions favoring Paul, Bisping expressed disbelief that Joshua could be knocked out by a YouTuber-turned-boxer, while also noting how surreal it is that the fight is actually taking place. He referenced comments from figures like Tyson Fury, who publicly backed Paul to score a knockout, and Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who who pointed to Joshua's past stoppage losses as evidence of vulnerability.
Well, we had Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, a tremendous world champion, one of the best boxers of his generation. Apparently, and I don't know if he's serious, but he says that he put £1 million on Jake Paul to knock out Anthony Joshua.
Seriously? Jake Paul chins AJ, yes, they fight.
Are you serious?
100%. If they fight, I'm putting £1 million on Jake Paul.
Now, we know, first of all, that Tyson Fury doesn't really like Anthony Joshua. So maybe he's just saying that. Maybe he's talking shit. Or has he really put £1 million on? Because if he has, I want to see that betting slip. And could you imagine if it came in? I don't know what the odds on Jake Paul knocking him out are, but they're going to be pretty big.
From Bisping's perspective, those predictions stretch credibility, especially when weighed against Joshua's Olympic background, elite-level experience, and proven performances against top heavyweights. While he acknowledged that Paul has improved, possesses some power, and deserves credit for taking on risky matchups, Bisping characterized the growing optimism around him as a sign of how distorted modern boxing discourse has become rather than a reflection of realistic competitive balance. He emphasized boxing fundamentals and risk, highlighting that Joshua is not just a big name but a seasoned heavyweight with speed, timing, and fight-ending power that Paul has never encountered. Bisping rejected the notion that Joshua would need to stick and move or fight cautiously, arguing instead that he has repeatedly shown he can stand his ground and dismantle physically imposing opponents, citing his decisive knockout of Francis Ngannou as a recent example.
Anthony Joshua to have to dance around the ring, get on his bike, play cat and mouse, dancing around, pick his shots and stick and move. No way. Remember what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia? He stood there, toe to toe, waited for the opening, threw a right hand. It was like absolute lightning and the power was crippling. Every single right hand that Anthony Joshua threw, he dropped Francis Ngannou, who is a gigantic human being who does have truly one-punch knockout power, as we know.
I need to knock him out.
I like that.
So Mighty Mouse, love you, bro, but what on earth are you talking about? Let's carry on.
Addressing speculation that the fight might be staged or softened by hidden agreements, Bisping relied on Eddie Hearn's firm denials and the legal realities of professional boxing, pointing out that the reputational and regulatory consequences would be catastrophic if such claims were true. From our perspective, Bisping's conclusion is clear. While the spectacle draws attention and debate, this is a real fight with real danger, and anyone misjudging the gap between hype and heavyweight reality will not be Anthony Joshua. Looking at the full picture, Joshua in a locked-in camp, Paul preparing intensely but defensively, the TalkSport skepticism from Jim White, Simon Jordan, and Ade Oladipo, and Bisping's outright dismissal of upset talk, it's evident that the fight may be marketed as spectacle, but it carries genuine heavyweight consequences. Jake Paul deserves respect for taking the risk and putting real work into his boxing journey. But preparation and ambition cannot replace years of elite experience, size, timing, and fight-ending power. All the commercial hype, licensing, and narratives aside, once the bell rings, he will be facing a former unified heavyweight champion who has flattened world-class opponents when they made mistakes.
Suggestions that the fight might be fixed, but also from people in the boxing world that look at this as a spectacle and look at this as a circus, a sideshow, a freak show attraction, and also something that is extremely dangerous. Because if this is a real fight, and apparently it is, so we'll go with that, there's a very good chance that somebody gets hurt. And I'm sorry to say, because I love Mighty Mouse, it ain't going to be Anthony Joshua.
I mean, we seen the Mike Tyson. That was all fun. That was cute. You know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff. But now you're dealing with a real professional, you know. And so we'll see how it ends up. You know, like I said, I think
From my perspective, and likely yours as well, this feels less like a 50-50 question and more like a test of how long Jake Paul can handle danger before the realities of heavyweight boxing take over. My prediction is Anthony Joshua by early stoppage. Not because Jake lacks courage, but because boxing has a way of teaching that skill levels matter. And at heavyweight, those lessons come quickly and without mercy. To sum it up, this fight sits at the crossroads of ambition, business, and the stark reality of the heavyweight division. Anthony Joshua is treating it like a professional assignment. Jake Paul is stepping into the toughest challenge of his boxing career, and voices across the sport, from media analysts to fighters, largely agree that hype can't outpace physics. That doesn't diminish the intrigue or bravery, but it does clarify the stakes. This isn't just content, it's consequence. Now I want to hear from you. Does Jake Paul have any overlooked advantages, or is this exactly how most heavyweight mismatches play out once the bell rings? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. See you in the next one.